Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you. I'm Mike Paulus. I'm the town manager. I'd like to welcome you to our weekly briefing and thank the team for joining me today. We have Fire Chief Seward, Police Chief Halloran, Jim Buck, the Emergency Management Director, and Mike Pascasella, Health Director, for today's meeting. As always, our goal is to bring you up to date on what's happening with COVID-19 and then what we're working on with that, and provide you with reliable information and resources to try and get through this pandemic together. The broadcast is also designed to be interactive, and we hope that you will participate and share with your friends and family. Feel free to post your comments on our page or use our dedicated email, which is public-comments@townofnorthbrantfordct.com. However, before we begin, I'd like to let you know that we also, in addition to broadcast live, we also have Tutucket TV that's helping us out to get a wider audience and to simulcast or broadcast that as well and pick up the feed. And I thank you, Tutucket TV, for joining us and for your help today. We also have our police, fire, and EMD Facebook pages that you can check out as well. And of course, there's a wealth of information on the East Shore District Health Department website, the State Department of Health website, and the governor's website as well. So lots of information out there. We're hoping to bring you a program that talks about two items today: face masks and a giveaway on Saturday, and also a brief update on numbers, but also what we're doing with helping and assisting businesses that are getting geared up for the partial reopening that's going to be happening next week. Before I get into the update, of course, I want to give a heartfelt thank you to the doctors, nurses, health providers, professionals, staff, and first responders that are out there day in and day out doing what they do to keep us safe. Thank you very much for that. And also, for those of you that may not be aware, this week is National Police Week, and also next week will be National EMS Week. So I'm hoping that those of you that are watching and listening and know that can pause or take a moment to thank a police officer or first responder as we recognize them both this week and next week. And with that, I'd like to get into the quick report on the statistics for North Branford. And first and foremost, I think I need to clarify that the numbers I've been giving out are numbers that have are running total since the start of the pandemic. So North Branford currently has 73 cases, positive cases that have been recorded. Of that, 39 are in North Branford and 34 are in Northford. That's how it breaks down. And so that's been a running total. Last week, I think, or we didn't quite get the show off the ground and reported, was ready to report that we had 64 cases. So we've slowed it down. We flattened the curve a little bit, but we're certainly not out of the woods, and there's a lot of work to continue in terms of what we're doing with social distancing and facial masks and so forth. So right now, I'm not sure what the number is. Mike, maybe you can tell. Just to put in perspective, we have a total since it started of 73 recorded cases. But active cases are another aspect of this that we don't really talk about. And I think that number is obviously much lower as people get healthier, come off the list. I think I heard last week that we were somewhere managing close to 10 cases, and that obviously changes from day to day, week to week, and maybe Mike can speak to that when we get into some of or if you like, Mike, if you want to just clarify right now in terms of where we are for North Branford.
Sure. Again, my name is Michael Pascasella. I'm the Director of Health for the town of North Branford. The number of cases we have right now in the town of North Branford are 73. 39 in North Branford and 34 in Northford. As far as the active cases, now these are confirmed positive cases. So these are laboratory confirmed cases that we get. So there could be more, and there probably are more cases out there that we may not know about. But as far as active, there's probably somewhere in the number of about 15 active cases that we are aware of, given the latest statistics that we just received.
Great. Well, thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. And, this is a highly contagious virus. Obviously, we're doing all that we can and continue to stress the fact that we've got to stay safe by staying home. If you must go out in public places, then please maintain the 6-foot distance. We'll be going through, with the help of East Shore District, getting some signage out throughout town next week, if possible, just to remind folks, and certainly as we gear up for a partial reopening of some businesses next week as well. So wear the mask, facial cover, wash your hands, and of course, if you feel symptoms, contact your doctor as sort of standard protocol, or again. Ask about the testing, and I know there's rapid testing available in New Haven as well, but just seek medical advice for sure. So let me get right into it and say that last week, my apologies for the technical difficulties we had. We were prepared to talk about a major decision put out by the governor to keep schools closed for the remainder of the school year. So we invited Scott Shoemaker, and unfortunately that was not, we weren't able to get that to go. So we wanted to discuss the impact that was having and how they would continue with remote learning. And so we're going to invite Scott back for next week's show and discuss those issues. Today, we want to jump into talk about the free mask giveaway that you may have heard about and that we are planning for Saturday, tomorrow morning. From 9 to 2, it's just part of response to this partial reopening and trying to get supplies out, and very hard supplies to get. So, in order to kick this off, I think maybe I'd invite Jim Buck, our emergency management director, who's been in close communication with us and the state and our local health department to coordinate this for us. And Jim, I know you said last week, again, I just said it as well, that we're not out of the woods yet, and we're talking about a plan for reopening and lifting some restrictions, and part of that preparation, we want our residents to have masks, correct?
Yes, absolutely, Mike, and thank you for the opportunity to address the town. We certainly want to make sure that the public is prepared best they can as we see the restrictions being relaxed on the state level, and we're preparing for that, trying to do so in an appropriate, measured way. And we want to make sure our residents are taking proper precautions. So in conjunction with that, and in anticipation of that reopening or expanded opening, if you will, we have secured a large number of the barrier masks, the medical grade type masks that we will be issuing in a package of 10 to each town resident that would like to come by tomorrow. It's the distribution will actually be in the North Branford High School entrance area, but we are ensuring that all residents enter from Route 80, Foxton Road entrance by NDIS. They'll need to show a proof of residency. The ideal proof of residency will be their license, but at our residency, kind of checkpoint station, if we see an active utility bill, that will also be allowed. And then once they proceed into the site, they'll be, depending upon how many vehicles are waiting, there may be a wait to get to the actual distribution site. We would ask that individuals approach with either their passenger side front or passenger side rear window down, so that we don't have to, actually hand off any items, and then we will place the package right into the car. All of our volunteers will be in, protective masks as well, with medical gloves on, and they'll be handing these out fairly quickly. We're anticipating a good turnout. Like I said, we have a large supply, and we're hoping to get these to as many of the town residents as possible.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Jim. And I think it's important maybe to touch upon the fact that the reason we're putting out packs of 10 is that the shipment comes already sealed in packs of 10, so that we didn't have to reopen and repackage this. It's just going straight from the manufacturer right out of the box in a sealed package of 10, not handled by any individual and given out that way. So I think it's important for people to know why the package of 10 is because that's the way we were able to get it, and that's the safest way to do it.
Yes, that's a great point. And again, we're spearheading this, through the town for North Branford and Northford residents. The participation and cooperation of North Branford PD, North Branford Fire, and we'll have the East Shore District Health Department that they've looked over, and they want to make sure we're doing so in the safest way possible. And we have some volunteers from a neighboring CERT town will be assisting us as well. So we have a good team. We plan to do this as safely as possible and get out as many of these as we can.
Right. Thank you, Jim. And I know that we've got Chief Halloran and Chief Seward here, and always as part of the command structure and helping and assisting us. Thank you to Public Works as well, who'll be on site to help us out. But I know Chief Halloran, I know that you've got a plan in terms of any kind of traffic control issues as well. I know that you'll be on site, and I think that's all part of the reason that people have to understand that we're trying to do this in a safe and orderly manner, and the way it's designed to come off of Route 80 is in order to try and do this as safely and as expeditiously as possible. And I think that you've got that covered as well, I think. Yeah, Kevin, I think you're Chief, you're still muted.
Okay, you have me?
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. Yeah, we'll have approximately 3 officers on scene. I probably will stop by there myself. They'll be directing traffic, getting people into the middle school, assisting after IDs are checked. If you're not a town resident, we'll ask you to get out of line. So this is for town residents only. And we'll have officers on the other end helping vehicles get out.
Great. Thank you, and Chief Seward, I know you've also been very helpful for us in organizing and looking at the plans in terms of getting it through safely. But I think we've also got to tell folks that we're doing the best we can with the supplies we have. But it is all about this drive will function as long as supplies hold out, and we just don't know what the response is going to be, but we'll do the best we can.
I think the plan as it's set right now is a great opportunity for town residents to take into consideration what the governor has been telling us all along, and that our department is moving forward, and that is the reopening of Connecticut predicated upon social distancing and protecting ourselves. So it's really important to take into consideration that as a wearer of a mask, you're protecting yourself from others, but more importantly, others from you as well. So to be able to provide our residents with masks is so important to continue with the reopening and the reduction in the way we basically are returning to normal. It's a new way of doing business, and I strongly urge residents to share this information amongst their friends and take advantage of the free opportunity to secure these masks tomorrow.
Yeah, good point, Chief. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, phase 1, if you want to think of it that way, phase 1, and this is a step in that evolution, if you will, to try and get us back to some sort of sense of normal, and it's sort of a wait and see approach. But at least we can get this PPE in terms of masks to at least 10 of them. To a household, to a family, and if they need to venture out, at least they've got some. And we're going to make arrangements as well. We've been taking calls all morning. We're taking a list, and of course, if there's supplies left over from there, we'll make an effort to try and get the remainder out to those that are on the list, the waiting list or backup list that could not attend for tomorrow. But Jim, if you want to just go through again and hit the highlights, tomorrow 9 to 2, correct?
Yeah, that's right, Mike. So, we encourage people not to get there super early. We do want to make sure that traffic remains flowing properly on Route 80. So we want to begin the vehicle lineup at 9 a.m. That's when we'll open the gates, and we'll have people bringing you through the line. We'll check the residency. We'll ask you to approach with your passenger front or rear window down. You'll be handed the package of 10, and asked to exit promptly onto Caputo Road. So we believe it'll flow well. We're hoping to reach as many residents as possible. Great points by both Chief Halloran and Chief Seward. But let's have a safe event. Encourage your neighbors to attend. We recognize that 10 is not a very large supply, but it's a good number per household to at least make sure everybody's safe as you go out to the grocery store and then other retail or other establishments that are opening up on May 20th. So we want everyone to be safe. That's the main reason for this. The recommendation up to now has been stay safe, stay home. As this opening in phase 1 is underway and begins on May 20th, we recognize more people are going to be out. And Chief Seward hit the nail on the head. The mask is just not for you to prevent you receiving something. It's for everyone around you to make sure that that anybody that could have this is not spreading it. So it's a barrier. It's a barrier mask. It's one step in the process to keeping people safe. We've talked about future plans, and we hope to continue to find ways to keep our residents as safe as possible while we're still in this public health emergency.
Great. Thank you, Jim. Thanks for your effort. I appreciate it. And, we'll just do the best we can tomorrow and hope that we can help as many folks and as many residents as we can and while supplies last. And then, again, it's, as you said, it's all part of the planning in phase 1. And I guess this is where we could sort of step off to Mike Pascasella, director, as we talk about phase 1 and businesses opening. Mike's been working with us and our land planning use P&Z folks, planner and our safety folks. In terms of assisting and helping businesses. I mean, everybody, I think, is aware that we're a partial reopening the governor's talked about for restaurants, hair salons, barbers, and a few other, I think, are in the category. But Mike, you want to, just kind of take us through some of the things that you've been collaborating on and working on as we further get into phase 1 and the partial reopening?
Absolutely, Mike. First, what I like to do, and as part of talking about it and just doing a review, I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint presentation. Just want to make sure that you can see it. Can you see it on your end?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to start off by saying the masks that we're giving away in the town of North Branford, it should be noted that there's only a handful of communities across Connecticut doing this. And so this is an opportunity. And again, just as I said, please take advantage of it and come and get the mask. It is going to be an expectation as we move forward towards what we're calling more of a soft reopening. It's not a full reopening, it's a soft reopening. And it's going to be open. Connecticut and our community is going to be open in a very phased and measured way. So first, yes.
Yes, Mike, sorry to interrupt. I'm just getting some feedback from viewers that I think we'll need you to come closer to the mic or speak a little bit louder. I think the volume's not transmitting very well.
Okay, how's that? Is that better?
It is for me, yes. Yes, thank you.
Okay, all right. In a lot of the presentations that we have done, we have put this slide up, and I think it really talks about striking a balance between public health and keeping people healthy and safe, and trying to get our local economy back where we would like to do it. And with that, it comes a fine balance. And I believe that our community is doing that. And in a minute, I'm going to talk about some of the next steps as far as helping our businesses and also setting expectations. Just going back to the data, we just talked about the 73 cases that we have in North Branford, and I got that data right before the meeting, so I wasn't able to update this. But what you can see is we're still going up a little bit. It's not really going up very quickly in the number of cases, but we have to understand that COVID-19 infection is still widespread throughout the state, and we do have it in our community. I talked about this last time, and I'd like to just talk about it again, just so everyone understands that as we reopen the state and our local communities, it's a phased approach. And so phase one is to keep hospitalizations, keep cases, and save lives. Phase two, and right now we're in between phase one and phase two, in the sense that we're doing what we're calling a soft reopening, where we're going to allow some businesses to open. And the governor has been very clear on what businesses can open and what business cannot open. Phase three will be when we get a vaccine and some treatments. And then, of course, phase four would be preparing for perhaps the next pandemic. So the next steps for our community is while we continue to analyze state and local data, and that will drive our decisions. Receiving and planning locally, based on state and CDC guidelines. And I bring that up because as we move forward, the guidelines keep changing, they keep getting revised. So don't be surprised that today we may give a set of rules, and then the next day or next week, the rules might be revised a little bit. As we understand more and more about COVID-19, we are adjusting some of the requirements. Again, we're opening up in a very staged and safe manner, and it's based on science and facts. As we move forward towards a soft opening, the community is part of we're going to need your help to do your part. And I'll go over that in a minute. And of course, we're partnering with our local academic institutions to do what we're calling case tracing or contact tracing, where as we get community spread, we are reaching out to people who have been infected and making sure that they take the proper precautions, answer their questions, and protect their families and loved ones. So with the next phase of the soft reopening, this Wednesday, May 20th, restaurants will be able to open their outdoor seating, and hair salons will be able to open up. And so with this, it's going to be open with limitations, and there's going to be some very strict precautions that need to be taken. And so in light of the recent rules that were released by the governor's executive order and how that should happen, what we're going to do locally is we're going to have a Zoom meeting with our businesses. We plan to do it on Monday and provide clarity as to what the do's and don'ts are as far as opening the business, and also set expectations. We have expectations of our businesses, and our businesses have expectations of us, and we just want to make sure that we're all in sync and do it in a safe manner. And then for our community, we're going to need your help. As these businesses open, you're going to need to do your part and practice the social distancing. Wear face coverings. And if you're ill, please do not leave your home and seek medical attention. I'm not going to go over this entire slide. You've probably seen it before, but just to kind of highlight some of the things that you need to do is make sure you're cleaning your surfaces and sanitizing. And any sanitizers that you use, you want to make sure that there are at least 60% alcohol. If you're sick, again, please stay home. The majority of all the infection that we have seen has been person to person, and typically it's someone who is sick. And again, if you have any symptoms at all, please contact your doctor and get tested. And so with that, that's just a little overview of what we're going to be doing. So in the next few hours, we're going to be sending a invitation to all our businesses. And on Monday, we plan to hold a townwide meeting via Zoom to talk about what the rules are, to set expectations. We plan to have a question and answer session, and again, help our businesses. Working together with the other town officials, we could assure you that we will be as flexible as we can, but there are some rules that need to be followed, and we're going to set the process for you.
That's great. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Great work, and again, look forward to collaborating with you and for our meeting on Monday, and as we try to assist and help facilitate businesses through the whole process, and again, all in this together, trying to make sense of what's going to work, what's going to keep us safe, and I think you guys have done a great job, and appreciate the effort. And I just want to maybe just piggyback on that notion of salons and barbershops getting open. That I just saw a press release from the governor just released today about providing or announcing a distribution of infrared thermometers to be eligible for small businesses, nonprofits, and places of worship. So if people are interested, go to the governor's website, look for that press release. There's a live link in there that'll take you to another site in which you can request these no-contact infrared thermometers, which I think is important, especially for the restaurants and salons and barbershops that are going to open up next week. They're probably a little anxious or hesitant about making sure they have all the supplies, and I guess that's another added level of assurance to know that they can check people coming in, or their clients, or whoever's coming in. So just point people to the governor's website and look for that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, thank you. I don't see at this point we take a break to look at posts and look at emails. I do not have any emails that have come in at this point, or questions or comments. I think maybe a few comments or posts, but no direct questions that I see at this time. So, I think if there's anything else, I want to just get back to our guests here, our panel of Jim or Chief Halloran or Chief Seward. Anything you want to add before we wrap up with some sort of the positive messaging that we do each week?
Yeah, Mike, Jim Buck, the Emergency Management Director again. I would like to add and kind of put the exclamation point on what you were just mentioning, as well as Director Pascasilla. As it relates to assistance to our business owners, of which North Branford has many small businesses, I think it's important that they are on the distribution list with Roger Salway, Economic Development Coordinator, because that is going to be really important as these restrictions are in place, as the notifications come out. And for instance, recently he sent out the link through CBIA for small businesses to request their own protective equipment through the state. So we want to facilitate that. We want to encourage that. This so far up to now, we've been what I would call fortunate in terms of not seeing big spikes of the virus in North Branford. But again, numbers are just a number. The most important number is 1. That's you, that's your family member, that's your friend that has it. And so we want to prevent that. Everybody's been doing a good job in this partnership. Let's continue that. Keep up the good work. And for business owners, contact Roger Salway to get that information.
Yeah, great point, Jim. And we will have that part of the Monday presentation. I think we're going to try to get those links into the presentation. And it's a great point. Thank you for the reminder.
So, Mike, Chief Halloran here. I just want to point out that as people are starting to get out into the community, our calls for service are starting to go up. The issue is that for a while, the bad guys were staying in and they were adhering to it, but they're starting to go out and break into cars again. So just a reminder, lock your cars,
Sure.
Remove any items that you have in your cars. We're starting to see an increase in traffic again. Traffic crashes haven't gone up, but I notice a lot of people are taking some risks, going through red lights, driving fast. Please slow down. As people start to come out, our enforcement efforts will start to increase. So I just wanted to point out those issues. Again, we're seeing in neighboring towns the car break-ins and auto theft. So if you leave your car unlocked, just make sure that you don't leave your keys in it, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief. I guess I think there's one post for the Zoom meeting scheduled for Monday. I think we're going to have to try and get a press release out, but I believe we were trying for 11:30. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, 11:30 works. Yes.
Yeah, and we'll be working offline later today to try and wrap that up, trying to pull it all together for Monday, and we'll get additional information out. But I think that was the one question I've seen thus far. And again, Chief Halloran, thank you for that public service announcement. I think that people should be aware, and obviously, they have to be diligent and looking to protect themselves, and not just physically from this virus, but unfortunately things like that are going on. And at this point, I'm not sure, Chief Seward, if you've got anything you want to add before we wrap up, and then I'll just finish with one or two comments. But anything to add?
Yeah, just to dovetail into the Director of Health's information about businesses reopening and restaurants. As a taxpayer, as a business operator, please feel free to call the Office of the Fire Marshal for North Branford and discuss any concerns that you may have with them regarding the temporary outdoor seating information that's being passed on from the state. We're willing to work with any business in town to facilitate this process. And it's so important to get business back in operation. So again, you can call them at Town Hall at 203-484-6000 and ask for the fire marshal or deputy fire marshal to provide assistance.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. And, we're at the point where we kind of wrap up. I do always mention at the end of the show, the end of the briefing, we have can't forget about the food pantries, and there's a food scarcity that happens with unemployment and prolonged unemployment. So if you can, please keep the food pantry in mind. They do accept donations from 3 to 6 on Tuesday, and you can call them at 203-208-2581 for further information and additional details. But I think that I just don't think the community response and whether it's donation of handmade masks, just bringing food by to first responders. I think this community's got great heart, and it just plays out each week, and you hear something new. And I'm sure all of you have heard that, and I think it's important for us to continue to talk about that and help one another as we get through this. And obviously, it's been a long time, and we're not out of the woods yet, and we've got more work to do. So I'm happy to spread the word on anything or a shout out that any of you have. But I just didn't want to forget if we can help in either the food pantry or even the state food share and other programs that are working statewide, a number of people working to help others. And that's a great thing. So I'm not sure if any of you have any positive messaging that you want me to put out or want to echo here, a shout out.
Mike, if I could just, this is Mike Pascasola, Director of Health, if I could just put 2 messages out, one to our community, and that is, while we are getting ready for the soft reopening, again, please do your part. And when we look at our statistics locally compared to other communities, we are doing very well, and we want to keep it that way. So please do your part. Practice social distancing, no large gatherings. and wash your hand, and please wear a face covering. It's for you and it's for others. And then two, for our businesses, there are things that if you're planning to open next week, there are things that you need to start doing now. And the state guidance has been put out, and there's different requirements to register online and start to be proactive towards a possible opening next week if you qualify. And again, on Monday, we will clarify the rules, and we'll have an answer and question session. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mike. I think that's it. I think we're at the end of today's briefing, and I want to thank all of you for joining me today, and thanks for the questions, and again, for Tutucket TV for helping us spread the word here and get the information out. I think it's going to be a pretty good day, good turnout tomorrow for the free giveaway on the masks, and next week we'll see how it goes, and we'll try to help as many businesses as we can, and try to report back next week on what progress we're making. So I appreciate everyone's help and participation today. Everybody be safe, be well, and we'll see you next week.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.